Welcome to Kehilat Sharei Torah's Halacha review and virtual counting of the Omer for Friday, May 8th, the 29th day of the Omer, Hayom Tish'a ve'esrim Yom, Shehem Arba'a Shavuot, ve'Yom Echad LaOmer. Also like to remind everyone that today is Pesach Sheni. We omit Tachanun from all of our prayers. We would do that anyway for Mincha because it's close to Shabbat. But in the morning prayers, we omit Tachanun. And if you have any matzah lying around, doesn't hurt to munch on that a little bit for breakfast. Okay, the day before Shavuot, says Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu in his Halacha Sefer, on Pesach, a sacrifice of barley is offered, which is generally animal food. But it's the first thing that's available, first grain to ripen. Whereas on Shavuos, a sacrifice of wheat is offered, which is human food. Pesach symbolizes our bodily, physical freedom, as our bodies are somewhat similar to animals, similar drives and so on. Whereas Shavuot signifies our spiritual freedom that we attained upon receiving the Torah. The redemption of the body, which started on Pesach, concludes with the redemption of the soul, with the receiving of Torah. One who works on Friday and on the day before Yom Tov after midday, or according to other opinions, at the time of Mincha Ketana, will not see blessing from that. That's the time we knock off a work. However, work that's necessary to prepare for Shabbos and Yom Tov is permitted. One should not sit down to eat a meal on Erev Yom Tov from midday until the holiday, in order to eat at night with an appetite. However, you're allowed to eat snacks, fruits, cakes, cookies, and so on. Some have the custom to spread grass on the floor of the shul before Shavuos, so that on Shavuos they'll be reminded of the giving of the Torah, which was given on Mount Sinai at the time when the mountain was covered with green foliage. Reference to this is found in the verse where it says that the sheep and cattle should not graze across the mountain. Some even have the custom to put up tree branches in the shul and houses because Shavuot is the day when the world is judged for fruits, according to the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. We are looking at the spiritual guide to counting the Omer. We're beginning week 5 out of 7. Week 5, the controlling idea is Hod, humility or splendor. Here's the introduction to the idea of Hod. If endurance is the engine of life, humility is its fuel. As Gevura gives Chesed, as Gevura, which is discipline, gives Chesed, which is love, focus, Hod gives Netzach, which is endurance, direction. Humility is the silent partner of endurance. Its strength is in its silence. Its splendor is in its repose. Humility and the resulting yielding should not be confused with weakness and the lack of self-esteem. Humility is modesty. It's acknowledgement from the root of the Hebrew word hoda'ah, or modim, or todah. It's saying thank you to God. It's clearly recognizing your qualities and strengths and acknowledging that they are not your own. They were given to you by God to be used for a higher purpose more than just satisfying our own wants and needs and desires. Humility is modesty. It is recognizing how small we are, which allows us to realize how large we can become. And that is what makes humility so formidable. So, actually, a little bit more here. Endurance draws its energy from the acknowledgement of humility. Human endurance goes only so far as your tolerance level. Acknowledging that your strengths come from a higher place gives you the power to endure far beyond your own perceived capacity. It gives you part of God's enduring strength. A full cup cannot be filled. If you're filled with yourself and your needs, and I am nothing else, there's no room for anything else. When you empty yourself out before something greater than yourself, your capacity to receive increases beyond your previously perceived limits. Humility is the key to transcendence, to reach beyond yourself. Only true humility gives you the power of total objectivity. Humility is also sensitivity. It is healthy shame that comes from recognizing that you can be better than you are and that you can expect more of yourself. Although humility is silent, it's not a void. It's a dynamic expression of life that includes all 7 qualities of love, discipline, compassion, endurance, humility, bonding, and sovereignty. Humility is active, not passive, not a state of being, but an interaction even in its calm and inaction. Now, plugging that into our schema of Sfirot that we've been looking at all the way through counting the Omer, today being the 29th day, the combination of Sfirot on page 286 in your Siddur For day 29, Chesed Shebahod, loving kindness in humility. Examine the love in your humility. Healthy humility is not demoralizing. It brings love and joy, not fear. Humility that lacks love has to be re-examined for its authenticity. Sometimes humility can be confused with low self-esteem, which would cause it to be unloving. Humility brings love because it gives you the ability to rise above yourself and love another. Arrogance in the guise of love means loving yourself, or even worse, making others a part and an extension of yourself and your self-love. Questions to ask ourselves today: does my humility cause me to be more loving and giving, more expansive, or does it inhibit and contain me? Am I humble and happy, or humble and miserable? And our exercise for the day: before praying with humility and acknowledgement of God, give a little tzedakah. It'll enhance your prayers. I'd like to remind everybody that for Shabbos tonight, the earliest time possible to light candles is 6:58 p.m. Actual candlelighting time is 8:10 p.m. and Shabbat ends at 9:20 p.m. tomorrow night. We'll not yet be back in Shul, hopefully sooner rather than later, but we will all be thinking of each other throughout this special Pesach Sheni day, tonight and tomorrow throughout Shabbat. Wish everyone Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos. See you afterwards.